Protect him.
I feel like this guy's his brother.
They're no one.
They look like
Nothing on
brothers.
record about you.
They sound like brothers.
That's not the guy. Plus, this guy's dead already.
Yeah.
Indeed. But never underestimate the persistence of paranoia.
Pretty good move there.
Did I do something wrong, officer?
Shut the up.
Amazing.
Threw him on his brother. Jesus. You can't make a fight scene longer than that.
You think they'll let you join them at the top? Never!
I kind of figured he was going to do that. He dropped some hard truths on him. Now he's probably going to do himself in. This guy's interesting because he looks Asian, but he also looks really white. It's not going to fire, is it? Just jump over the railing. They couldn't pick up a gun by this point?
They. For the same reason you stayed in that uniform. It just fits!
Why is it called Redemption? Alright, it wasn't bad. It wasn't my favorite thing in the world, but it wasn't bad. It was fun. But honestly, I didn't react that much. Nothing compared to the Taxi Driver. It's nothing compared to Taxi Driver. I mean, that last scene in Taxi Driver just blew me away because there was so much build-up. This was constant, fast-paced action, which is nothing wrong with that. It just doesn't have the impact that waiting, anticipating, and then the final blow-up has, in my opinion. You know why? Every fight scene, I know the main character is going to live, so it's... I mean, the argument can be said with Taxi Driver too, but it's just... the tension is not there comparatively for me. Especially that last boss fight. I knew they were going to win, but at the same time it was like, almost like, when's it going to end? That's why I said this fight scene couldn't have been longer. Because it was just like, going on, and just like the tension wasn't there for me. But it was still fun to watch, you know. It was alright. I give it a 6 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10. 7 out of 10, fine, because it's got a lot of choreography. Not because it's amazing choreography, it's just got a lot of it. So much of it that it's like, can't even comprehend how much choreography there is. It's kind of the problem with those kinds of movies to me. Like, they're just over the top. It was better than John Wick 3, but I was just, you know, the same reason I stopped watching it's the same reason why I was kind of getting sick and tired of some of the fighting in this. Especially that last fight. It was fine up until that last fight, and that's when I was like, alright, this is too much. This guy's way too small for two people to not be able to take him down. Come on. It was all pretty realistic-ish, up until that last fight. And then that was just kind of, it just kind of took me out. Like, this guy's already been through enough fights. Both the main characters had two, but to take on two people and to think that you're that good, like, it's not gonna happen. And at a certain point, I was just like, all right, like, that little swivel he did is not gonna flip his entire body over. Like, there's just way more involved when it comes to fighting. And that's the only problem I have with watching martial arts movies these days, is I'm way too knowledgeable about how fights really go. And, you know, you got a small person like that, like me, you gotta have power behind you. That's why I carry one of these. Because I can't take on a 200-pound guy. You know? It's just not going to happen. I might get lucky, kick him in the nads and elbow him in the throat or something, but that's the extent of the fight. You know, it's not going to go on for 30 minutes or 15 or 5. You know, it's just not. And that's my problem with these kinds of movies. Other than that, I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. It was fine. It was cool to see the inspiration for Judge Dredd. But other than that, you know, I like Judge Dredd better because it's got more of a sci-fi concept to it. So, and obviously the dubbing wasn't the most enjoyable thing to watch. But other than that, it was fine. That's why I give it a 6 to 7 out of 10. Yeah, it just wasn't my thing. But I'll still watch Raid 2. See if that's any better. I doubt it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just be like, yeah, that's not for me. Because, you know, I'm not trying to give content that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that probably like this movie, and I'm not trying to crap on your movie. You know, if you like what you like, I like what I like. You know, I like things to be ultra realistic. It makes me get really into the zone. That's why Taxi Driver just blew me away, because I really didn't expect that last gunfight, and it was extremely well done, and it blew me away. I mean, seeing that guy's hand blow off was like, I've never seen that in a movie. It blew me away. You know, it's a simple thing, but that's how real life is. It's pretty simple. It's either you get hit or you don't, or you're prepared or you're not, you know. And these guys in their fighting stuff, it's just a little too over the top for me. But other than that, it was all right. You know, it was all right. But yeah, that's all I got to say about it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's just not my kind of thing. It's not realistic enough. And if you're going to be like, whoa, why are you watching realistic movies to escape? Because I live in the real world. I'm not living in some fantasy world. Like, I need a realistic movie to get me out of my realistic life. If it's not realistic, I'm not really escaping. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. If you're escaping from that, then I have to presume that you live some sort of fantasy life, that you're privileged or something. I'm not privileged. I'm sorry. Or a lot of people think that white people are privileged. I don't have a fucking privileged life. I don't think I have. Parts of my life, sure, have been privileged, but not the entirety. And I don't think as much as a lot of other white people. Like, I've been poor to middle class most of my life, and I consider myself pretty poor even as a kid. It wasn't until later in life I considered my parents to be more well off. But in my current state, I'm poor. You know, like, I see things the way they are. You know, I'm not living in some fantasy world. So I'm sorry if you are. I don't even know why you're on YouTube. You can afford all the fantasy you want. Why are you watching YouTube? It's free stuff. I'm here because I'm on YouTube because it's free. Because I'm looking for entertainment, and I'm also angry at a lot of the entertainment industry. You know, it's not like what I want it to be. I like Taxi Driver. That's the stuff I want. You know, I want it to be realistic and hard hitting, not fast paced and so much hitting that I cannot believe that it's hard hitting. Like, they want me to think that it's hard hitting. I'm sorry I'm ranting. They want me to think that the Raid is hard hitting, but like, there was so many hard hitting that I can't believe it's hard hitting because it's so clearly a movie. It's so clearly choreographed. While the Taxi Driver was believable. Like, that's something that could happen in real life. Like, it took me completely out of my world, and that was freaking Travis Blinkett or whatever his name was. That was him for that moment. I got shot in the shoulder, and I shot that guy in the fucking face. You know, like, that shit took me completely out of my world, and I was completely in his world. And, like, this movie doesn't really do that for me. There's a couple times where I'm like jerking, where I'm like, I was having fun, but ultimately, it's not my kind of movie. Like, it's way too over the top. That'll 0% chance of that happening. Absolutely zero. Something milder than that, there's a 2% chance that it'll be something milder than that. Like, extremely milder. There's a 2% chance that something like that would happen in real life. 2% chance that something like that would happen that's 1000% more mild than that, okay? That's because that's the whole movie's action. Like, to me, that it's so unrealistic. But was it enjoyable? Sure, I enjoyed it. It was fun enough. But it's not my kind of movie. Like, that's just way over the top. Even Judge Dredd had a lot less action than that, and that's why I like Judge Dredd a lot more than that, because it feels more realistic, and the cyberpunk futuristic feel, sci-fi feel, makes it more believable, because that's the future. There's more things that could happen that make the odds greater, against them all. That's just me. So I'm sorry if you did not enjoy this reaction. I still had fun watching it, but it's just, there's a lot that bugs me about it ultimately, and it's not something I really would particularly seek out. And sure enough, my instinct was correct. It's not my kind of movie. I'm way too mature for that. Sorry, I hate to break it to you. Way too mature for that. And the funny thing is my father told me to watch that movie. Now I have to tell him how it's not that great. It's not. How can you not like The Taxi Driver, Dad, but you like The Raid? Well, to each his own, I suppose. Anyways, I'm sorry about that. I hope you still enjoyed this reaction somehow or another. I hope you can understand where I'm coming from. Same reason why you don't like Taxi Driver is basically the same reason why I don't like The Raid. Ultimately, you think The Taxi Driver is too slow? I think The Raid is way too fast and unbelievable. You think The Taxi Driver too slow and boring? I think it's too unbelievable and too fast, which makes it boring for me. Ultimately, if you look at my face, you probably see, like, I'm enjoying the content, but I wasn't really, really sucked into their world in any way. So anyways, that's it from me. I'm sorry. Sorry's not from me completely. I might check out Raid 2, but you know how it's going to be. It's going to be the same movie, and it's going to be the same kind of reaction. It's going to be the same kind of review. Like, I'm not probably going to like that movie that much, but I'll watch it anyways. Why the hell not? That's how it's going to be. Take it easy, everyone. I'm so sorry. Have a good one.